G'day everybody, how you going today? It is so good to see you. I do hope that you are super well. Today Nikon has released not one but two new Z-mount Nikkor lenses for APS-C. In this video we're going to talk about the 16-50, which is pretty much a 24-75 f2.8 with VR, which is really cool. And check out my other video that's dropped at the same time about the exciting new 35mm f1.7 macro lens, which equates to pretty much a nifty 52.5mm with that 1.7 of light gathering. Check out my other video for that. But let's get into this new 16-50 with VR. Now, I've had these lenses for an extremely short amount of time. Just got back from OS, and I have to say I've used it on both the Z8 and here on the Z50. Now, the fact that this lens is a 2.8 of light gathering capability means this is effectively a 24-70 2.8 as we know it in the professional level of lenses. Of course, there are some differences when we talk about being on APS-C, but effectively you're collecting the same amount of light as you will at 2.8, and your field of view is 24-75mm. This is a great little lens, and I have to say the VR in it is very, very competent. And what this suddenly does from my perspective is it makes the Z50, the Z52, the Z30 and the ZFC really quite powerful and competent tools which could be used by professionals, because this is a professional level lens from its spec. Now, the only thing that might be missing from this is that S. The interesting thing is we're now 7 years into the Z mount, and it's probably something like 10 or 11 years since they first started designing the lenses for this mount. And even Nikon's entry-level lenses are very high quality at this point in time. Things like focus, breathing, chromatic aberration, all of these elements are being suppressed so much at this point that even a lens like this is beyond lenses that we used to have in the DSLR days. I've really enjoyed using this combo together, the Z50 and the new 16-50 with the VR and that fast speed. It means that you can use this combo in any situation. 24 is very wide, as we know. It's wide. This is a common focal length. Another thing that's interesting to me is that Nikon are essentially putting out a very, very competent 24-70 for their APS-C, and they've just put out probably the best 24-70 2.8 that I've ever seen for full frame just a couple of months ago. And these are both workhorse lenses, yet you can get into this one for a much more affordable price. Now, let's talk about what's on this lens. We do have this control ring here, which is programmable. Yes, it's an extending lens, but the thing is, it's extraordinarily small and it's extraordinarily light. The build quality, well, we can see here it has a metal mount, and that's a fantastic start. It appears to be some sort of composite, and the rest of it is composites. I mean, how else do you keep the weight down? I think this is going to be built to last. Absolutely, that's what it needs to do. It has no switches and no buttons on it whatsoever. It does have this one function ring, which can be used for focus, aperture, exposure priority, and so on. And of course, it has the zoom ring, and that is it. It is so easy to hold in the hand, yet it gives you these specifications. And it is only 330 grams or 11.64 ounces. Just a great, powerful little combo, which is going to give you really high quality images considering the price point of these objects, along with the fact that it's just so small and light. This combination together is well under 1 kilogram, ridiculously light. And even so, we believe that the sensor in the Z50, the Z52, ZFC, Z30 is not necessarily the newest sensor at this point in time. It's a very good sensor and it is tried and tested. So I'm okay with what we get out of it. Nikon has made a decision to keep this sensor around the 21 megapixel mark, giving us great performance out of those 21 megapixels, and I am always very happy with the images that I get out of these cameras. The 16 to 50 has a 67mm filter thread. Now, something that's interesting about this lens, when it's wide, when it's at the 16mm end, it has a minimum focus distance of 16 centimeters. That's very, very close for a lens like this from my perspective. When you go out to 50mm, the minimum focus is 25 centimeters. 25 centimeters, so something like around 9 inches, somewhere there. Pretty amazing, I think, for a package of this size. I don't know how they do it. Now, of course, telescoping lenses is something that we've talked about many times before, and you just have to make the decision. Do you want it to be compact and light, or do you want it to be more weather sealed? And what is the weather sealing on this? Nikon states that it's dust and drip resistant, and that's pretty much what we expect at this level in the market, it being a non-S-class lens. And talking about the VR, I think it's performed really, really well. It works fantastically in video. And the thing about having a smaller sensor means that there is less movement for the lens to have to compensate for. And that makes, I don't know whether that creates the illusion or it actually helps from a physics point of view, make this seem like a very, very stable combination. It's rated at 5 stops in the center. It feels to me like more than that, but again, that might have something to do with the fact that it's not 35mm, it's APS-C. Who knows? If you know, let me know in the comments below. Now, it is only 88mm long, or short, as Apple would say. Ta-da! Look, it's only this thin, or short, just like my laptop here, which equates to 3.46 inches. And when it comes to focusing, I found it to be very, very fast enough again for this level in the market. It is using STM motors, which are very, very quiet, which also means that this lens is great for video. Again, the lens design, which is something that Nikon seems to be doing across every lens that they put out these days, is that focus breathing is suppressed. So you'll have no problems using this in video. And what I love about what Nikon do, and they've done it in this lens, and they've also done it in this other release today, is that these are optically suppressed from focus breathing. There is no electronic trickery required to solve that problem. This is great. Let's have a look at some very limited images that I've been able to take with these lenses and these two cameras, one with IBIS, one without IBIS, one APS-C, one full frame, because of course you can use this lens on a Z8 and you're still getting just shy of 20 megapixels, whereas if you use it on the Z50 here or any of the other APS-C cameras from Nikon, you're getting just shy of 21 megapixels. So it's a very similar outcome. As this is a first look video, we're going to just look at a few images from the brand new 16 to 50 2.8 on the Z50 and on the ZFC. In the case of both of these images, it is the Z50. And let's start with this extreme close-up. Now we can see here that we're at 16mm. The size of this screen is so big that we're almost looking at 100% when we are full frame, and that is 100% right there. You can just get an idea of absolutely how close we are here. I'm not sure if this is minimum focus. Also, we can see the level of quality and detail. Now, I just want to show you that is the lens, and this is the Z50. Adjustments, pretty minimal. We've brought up the shadows, have not touched color, and have not touched anything else. I did turn up the structure a little bit. Let's just go back to 0. I've applied no sharpening, and you can just look here at how sharp we are pixel for pixel. This is 100%. They are very sharp, and this is very close. This is a yet to bloom rose. Color is beautiful. Fall off is beautiful. This is a really, really good looking lens. The capacity of this sensor I really like. Just to see how great it is at pulling back those highlights, and of course the capacity we have in those shadows. Very flexible. As I said earlier, I do think this is exceeding optically what we would get traditionally from a DSLR lens. Now, I talked about the stabilization. This is half of a second handheld at 50mm. I'm shooting at base ISO here on the Z50. We can have a look at the metadata. There it is, Z50 with the new lens. Unbelievable. We go to pixel for pixel, 100%, and half a second. That's looking pretty good. Obviously, we can see that these people were moving in the background. They're moving around a little bit. And the focus is around about here at this point. And you can just see half a second. That's unbelievable. 2.8. And the other thing I want to draw your attention to is chromatic aberration, or purple fringing, if you like. This is highly suppressed. And again, we can see it here. Now, this is pixel for pixel. If we go in and in and in and in, sure, there's a little bit there, but I have not tried to remove any of it. And of course, we can remove it as well. This is a fantastic result, I believe, for a lens at this price point with these specifications, along with the stabilization in the lens. Same lens, this time we're at 44mm. This is showing us the fall off and a little bit of a sense of what the bokeh looks like in the background. Perhaps not as smooth as some other lenses, but again, every lens seems to be different. Handheld again at half a second. Our focus is sitting somewhere in here. And if we go for a pixel for pixel, again, half a second with that stabilization, still looking great. Again, trying to find some chromatic aberration for you. We are at 50mm wide open, and just to show you that this is again the same lens, there it is, the 16-50 on the ZFC this time. We believe it's probably the same sensor as the Z50. There we are, we're looking straight into the sun. There really is no sign of it. How does it handle flaring? Well, I think it handles flaring really smoothly. There is obviously flaring going on in this lens. Beautiful renderings, beautiful color, absolutely fantastic. Just look at how this is being rendered and then how lovely the fall off is here. Again, we're at 50mm. So this is the equivalent to 75mm field of view equivalent on 35mm. I just think that's a really great result for this all-rounder lens that's packing 2.8. It's not an S-class, but it really is handling all of these situations super well. Now, I will do more with these lenses because, as I've said before, I've had very, very little time to test, but what I'm seeing when it comes to optical quality, purple fringing, flare suppression, and stabilization. This is a great lens, which if you love your Nikon Z APS-C cameras and you want to get more out of them and you want something that's flexible for all types of situations, this is a really, really good option. So there we have it, two APS-C lenses, two high quality entry-level APS-C lenses from Nikon. What is this saying to us about how they feel about the future of APS-C? I think it's saying to us they're pretty excited. As I said, this is a 24-70 2.8 roughly equivalent. It's actually a 24-75, but you know what I'm saying. And I totally see all of the cameras, the ZFC, the Z50, and most especially the Z52, totally as professional level cameras that can be used in a professional setting. And now to have a lens like this, which is the absolutely ubiquitous 24-70 2.8 lens with VR, which means you can use it in all situations. This to me is a very serious entry into Nikon's APS-C lineup. I think it shows us a lot about what they are thinking about APS-C. And thus, I think we'll have a video coming up pretty soon speculating what might be next for APS-C from Nikon when they're giving us lenses like this. A great nifty 50 that's fast and happens to be a macro as well. And this workhorse lens is very exciting from my perspective. All right, everybody, well, there it is. I'd love to know your thoughts about this lens in the comments below. Do you own any of the 4 current APS-C cameras from Nikon? And would this be a lens that you might consider adding to your kit, considering it has such professional level spec, yet it is very small and very light? I don't know how you can go wrong. And the price, well, $12.99 Australian dollars with taxes. And where would that see it land in American dollars? Well, it's usually around about half, which says to me it's between $600 and $700 USD without taxes, but it does depend on what's happening with tariffs of the day. Time of recording, not 100% sure. And just before I go, I have to say that Ricci, when we hung out in London there for a little while, which was so great, and I can't wait till next time, he gave me a little bit of swag. This is some of that swag. This is a really high quality water bottle, as we call them here in Australia. And well, it's got a little bit of Nikon. It's also got a little bit of Z Cinema. I love it. Thanks, Ricci. Please do let me know in the comments below. Is this a lens for you, or are you happy to sit with what you've got? And let me know, what do you have for your Z30, ZFC, Z50 or Z52? All right, it's been so good to see you. And if this is your first time here, I would love to see you again, so please do subscribe, please share, and please like. All right, bye for now.